No one paid attention to Noah when he walked into Lincoln High. Just another new kid with quiet eyes and a low-profile hoodie. He didn't talk much, didn't fight back. And after a few bumps in the hallway and one cruel joke too many, most students had already decided he was soft. An easy target. By the end of his first week, Noah had been tripped, mocked, and had his grandfather's box thrown across the floor. And still, he did nothing. But what no one saw, what they couldn't imagine, was the war happening behind those still eyes. A storm waiting to break. Before we dive in, where do you usually tune in on the way to work or winding down at night? Let us know in the comments. This one unfolds in a way that might just surprise you. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Noah adjusted his small-size hoodie as he walked through the doors of Lincoln High School. New town, new school. Same strategy. Keep your head down, blend in, survive. The hallways buzzed with morning chatter, but to Noah, it was just noise, a reminder that he was alone in a crowd. Hey, watch where you're walking. A girl scowled as Noah accidentally stepped on her shoe. He mumbled an apology and pulled his hood lower, hiding eyes that hadn't made direct contact with anyone since arriving 3 days ago. In class, Noah sat in the back corner, his notebook open, but his mind elsewhere. The teacher's voice faded as memories washed over him. His grandfather's small dojo, the smell of wood and sweat, the feeling of the mat beneath his feet. Focus is the beginning of strength, his grandfather would say in his accented English, adjusting Noah's stance with gentle hands. The mind must be still before the body can be strong. The memory dissolved as laughter erupted around him. Noah blinked, realizing the teacher had asked him a question he hadn't heard. Earth to new kid, the teacher said. I asked if you could introduce yourself. Noah stood reluctantly, his voice barely audible. I'm Noah-chan. I just moved here from Philadelphia. He sat down quickly, relief washing over him as attention shifted elsewhere. What Noah didn't share, couldn't share, was everything else. That his grandfather, Takahashi Hiroto, had been a judo champion who opened a small dojo after immigrating from Japan. That Noah had trained since he was 5, earning his black belt by 12. That for the past 10 years, judo had been his life, his sanctuary. Or that 3 months ago, his grandfather had died, leaving Noah and his mother to start over in this small town, carrying grief like stones in their pockets. At lunch, Noah found an empty table and unwrapped the rice balls his mother had packed. He noticed a commotion across the cafeteria, a tall, broad-shouldered boy holding court with a loud, confident voice that carried across the room. That's Mason Brooks, said a voice beside Noah. A girl with dark, curly hair slid into the seat across from him. Quarterback, student body president, and unofficial king of Lincoln High. I'm Lily, by the way. Noah nodded, but didn't engage further. Lily seemed nice enough, but friendship meant questions, and questions led to places Noah wasn't ready to go. After school, Noah found a small park 2 blocks from his apartment. He dropped his backpack under a maple tree and removed his hoodie, revealing a lean, muscled frame that his baggy clothes concealed. The quiet corner of the park became his makeshift dojo as he moved through the familiar forms, his body remembering what his heart was trying to forget. As his feet pivoted on the grass, Noah could almost hear his grandfather's voice. Judo is not about fighting, Noah. It is about harmony. About using an opponent's force against them, rather than opposing it directly. Noah finished his practice as the sun began to set. For just a moment, the heaviness lifted. Tomorrow would be another day of anonymity, another day of keeping his strength hidden. It was safer that way. He'd learned from his grandfather that true power should be wielded carefully, or better yet, not at all. What Noah didn't know was that tomorrow, that choice would no longer be his to make. The invisible wall he'd built around himself was about to collide with the immovable force of Mason Brooks. And when it did, the carefully constructed silence of his new life would shatter completely. The collision happened on Wednesday morning, as abrupt as it was inevitable. Noah, lost in thought about his morning math test, rounded a corner and slammed directly into Mason Brooks' chest. Books scattered. Mason stumbled back a step. For one frozen moment, Noah's martial arts training kicked in automatically, his stance balanced, core tight, ready to absorb impact. Then he remembered where he was and let himself fall awkwardly to the floor instead. What the hell, freak? Mason's voice cut through the sudden silence in the hallway. Students paused, sensing entertainment in the making. Sorry, Noah mumbled, reaching for his scattered textbooks. Mason's foot came down on Noah's physics book. New kid, right? Mason's smile didn't reach his eyes. You should know there's a toll for walking these halls. Noah recognized the situation immediately. He'd seen bullying before. What Mason couldn't know was that Noah had the training to flip him over his shoulder and pin him to the ground in about 3 seconds. But his grandfather's voice echoed in his mind. Knowledge without wisdom is a weapon without a master. So instead, Noah stared at the floor and said nothing. Mason grabbed Noah's backpack, appending it. Maybe you need a proper welcome to Lincoln High. Laughter rippled through the gathering crowd as Noah's possessions spilled across the floor. What caught Mason's eye was a small wooden box that tumbled out. Noah lunged for it, but Mason was faster. What's so special about this? Mason flipped open the lid, revealing a faded black belt coiled inside, with Japanese characters embroidered in red. His grandfather's first black belt, the only personal item Noah had brought to school. Please give that back. Noah's voice was quiet but steady. Mason dangled the box overhead. Come get it, then. 5 different takedowns flashed through Noah's mind. He could have the belt back in seconds. Instead, he simply stood there, hands trembling slightly at his sides. Not from fear, but from the effort of restraint. That's what I thought. Mason tossed the box at Noah's feet. Nothing but a coward in a hoodie. The bell rang, dispersing the crowd. Ms. Rodriguez, the literature teacher, finally emerged from her classroom. Everything okay out here? She asked, eyes moving from Mason's smirk to Noah gathering his belongings. Just helping the new kid find his way, Mason said, shouldering past Noah hard enough to make him stumble. Ms. Rodriguez helped Noah collect his scattered papers. Are you all right? Noah nodded, carefully placing the wooden box back in his backpack. That box, it seems important to you, she observed. It was my grandfather's. The words slipped out before Noah could stop them. If you're having trouble with Mason or anyone else, my door is always open. Noah nodded again, knowing he wouldn't take her up on the offer. His grandfather had taught him to solve his own problems, to find a path of least resistance. By lunch, everyone had heard about the hallway incident. Noah felt eyes on him as he walked through the cafeteria. Mason's voice carried across the room. Kid nearly cried when I touched his little box. Probably holds his baby blanket. Lily slid into the seat across from Noah again. Mason's been worse lately. His dad lost his job, and rumor is there's trouble at home. Noah looked up, surprised by this information. Not that it excuses anything, Lily added quickly. Just thought you should know you're not the only target. It's just your turn in the spotlight. Noah's phone buzzed with a text from his mother, working late shift again. Dinner in fridge. Another night alone with his thoughts. After school, Noah returned to his spot in the park, but this time his movements were sharper, fueled by the day's humiliation. A nearby dog walker slowed to watch his precise, powerful kicks and stances. You're quite good, the man commented. Judo. Noah stopped abruptly, embarrassed at being observed. He nodded once before grabbing his hoodie and backpack. As he walked home, Noah wondered how long he could continue like this, hidden in plain sight, carrying a strength he refused to use. His grandfather had always said that true judo was knowing when not to fight. But as Noah would soon discover, sometimes the fight finds you whether you're looking for it or not. By Friday, Mason had turned Noah's isolation into a spectator sport. Noah found Karate Kid scrawled across his locker, not even getting the martial art right. In the cafeteria, someone stuck out a foot as he passed. Noah, whose balance had been honed through thousands of hours of practice, had to deliberately stumble and spill his lunch tray to avoid revealing his reflexes. During gym class, dodgeball became a targeted assault. While other students received occasional throws, Noah faced a barrage. He could have dodged every ball with ease, but instead took hits that would leave bruises, each impact a reminder of his choice to remain invisible. Why don't you fight back? Lily asked as they paired up for a science lab. I saw you in the park the other day. You're not actually helpless. Noah measured chemicals carefully, eyes on the beaker. Fighting back just makes things worse. Is that what your grandfather taught you with that black belt? Noah's hand slipped, nearly spilling the solution. How did you? I saw what fell out of your backpack that day, Lily said. My cousin does Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I recognize a martial artist when I see one. That night, alone in his room, Noah opened the wooden box containing his grandfather's belt. He hadn't worn his own black belt since the funeral. His fingers traced the worn fabric, remembering. Noah, come here, his grandfather had said the day Noah earned his black belt. Despite his illness making him frail, his voice remained strong. A black belt is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of true learning. I understand, Ojizen, 12-year-old Noah had responded. No, you don't, his grandfather had smiled. But someday you will understand that the belt means nothing if you use your skills without wisdom. Now, 3 months after his grandfather's death, Noah wondered if he was honoring or betraying those teachings by allowing himself to be Mason's target. The next morning, rain pounded against the windows of Lincoln High. Noah arrived early, hoping to avoid confrontation. Instead, he found Mason and 2 friends waiting near his locker. There he is, Mason called out. The Kung Fu master himself. Noah kept walking, eyes forward. Hey, I'm talking to you. Mason stepped directly into Noah's path. A small crowd gathered, hungry for drama before first period. Noah spotted Ms. Rodriguez watching from her classroom doorway, concern evident on her face. I heard you do some kind of fighting, Mason continued. Which makes you even more pathetic for not standing up for yourself. Noah's jaw tightened. I don't want trouble. Too bad. Mason shoved Noah hard against the lockers. The metal rattled as Noah's back hit it, a sound that echoed down the hallway. In that moment, Noah felt something inside him crack. Not his restraint, but his certainty. Was this really what his grandfather would want? To let someone use strength to intimidate others? To stay silent in the face of wrong? The memory that surfaced wasn't one of his grandfather's peaceful teachings, but a different lesson. Sometimes, Noah, the most gentle action is to show clear boundaries. Like the stream that flows around a rock but does not move from its path. Ms. Rodriguez finally approached. That's enough, Mason. Principal's office now. Mason backed away with a smirk. We're not finished, he muttered to Noah. Later, in literature class, Ms. Rodriguez assigned the moral obligation to stand against injustice as an essay topic. Her eyes met Noah's briefly. The message wasn't subtle. After school, Noah went to the park again, but this time he sat beneath the maple tree without practicing. Rain dripped from the leaves as he called his mother. How's school going? She asked, hospital sound in the background. Fine, Noah lied, watching raindrops hit puddles, creating ripples that expanded outward. That night, Noah dreamed of his grandfather's dojo. In the dream, he was practicing throws against an opponent who kept changing faces. Mason, then his grandfather, then himself. What is the purpose of strength? His grandfather asked in the dream. Noah woke before he could answer, moonlight streaming through his window. He understood now that a decision was coming, one that would define what kind of person he would become without his grandfather's guidance. What Noah didn't know was that the decision would arrive sooner than he expected. By Monday morning, the invisible line he'd been walking would vanish completely. Monday morning arrived with an unnatural quiet in the hallways. Noah felt the shift immediately, whispers following him, students stepping aside as he passed. Something had changed over the weekend. Mason's been telling everyone you're some kind of fighting expert who's been faking weakness, Lily whispered during homeroom. He says he's going to expose you after school today. Noah's stomach nodded. What does that even mean? He's gathering people at the basketball courts after the final bell. He says either you show what you can really do, or he'll make you. The day passed in a blur of anxiety. Noah texted his mother during lunch, might be late coming home. No response, she was probably sleeping before her night shift. When the final bell rang, Noah stood at his locker, facing a choice that felt impossible. Walk away and face worse tomorrow, or go to the courts and face whatever Mason had planned. His grandfather's voice seemed to whisper, sometimes the path of harmony requires you to be present for conflict. Noah closed his locker, and headed for the basketball courts. A crowd had already gathered, easily 50 students forming a ring around Mason, who paced like a fighter before a match. When Noah approached, the crowd parted. He kept his backpack on, hoodie up, hands in pockets. "There he is," Mason called out. "The secret ninja who's too scared to show what he can do." Noah stopped at the edge of the circle. "I'm not here to fight you, Mason. That's too bad, because I'm here to fight you." Mason stepped forward, rolling his shoulders. "Someone saw you in the park doing all your little moves. I want to see if they're real or if you're just playing pretend." Noah glanced around. Teachers had already left or were inside. Ms. Rodriguez was nowhere to be seen. This was happening. "Fighting outside of a dojo isn't what martial arts is about," Noah said, his voice steadier than he expected. Mason lunged forward and shoved Noah hard. Noah took a step back but remained upright. "Fight back," someone yelled from the crowd. Mason pushed again, harder. "What kind of black belt are you?" "A fake one." Noah removed his backpack slowly and set it down. "I don't want to do this." "Too bad." Mason swung a wild punch aimed at Noah's face. What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion for everyone watching. Noah's body reacted from years of training. A slight shift of weight, a turn of the hip, hands moving to redirect rather than block. Mason's momentum carried him forward as Noah stepped aside, guiding Mason's arm across his body. In one fluid movement, Noah used Mason's own force to take him off balance. Mason hit the ground with a thud that silenced the crowd. Noah immediately stepped back, hands open at his sides, no fighting stance. Mason scrambled up, face red with rage and embarrassment. Lucky move. He charged again. This time, Noah executed a perfect hip throw, controlled and gentle by his standards, but still impressive to the stunned audience. Mason landed on his back, the wind knocked out of him. Noah immediately knelt beside him. "Are you okay?" Noah asked quietly. Mason stared up in shock, struggling to breathe. When his breath returned, he pushed Noah's hand away and stood unsteadily. "This isn't over," Mason growled, but the threat sounded hollow. "It can be," Noah said. "It should be." The crowd began to disperse as Mason limped away, supported by his friends. The show was over, but Noah knew everything had changed. His carefully constructed anonymity was gone. Lily approached, eyes wide. "That was incredible. You barely even moved." "That's the point of judo," Noah said, picking up his backpack. "Minimum effort, maximum efficiency. Why hide it all this time? You could have stopped him from day one." Noah watched Mason's retreating figure. "My grandfather taught me that having power means having the responsibility to use it wisely. Sometimes that means not using it at all." As Noah walked home, his phone buzzed with text from numbers he didn't recognize, classmates who had suddenly discovered he existed. Videos of the brief encounter were already circulating. For the first time since his grandfather died, Noah felt both the weight and the purpose of his training. He hadn't fought for ego or revenge. He had defended himself with control and restraint, just as his grandfather would have wanted. What Noah couldn't foresee was how this moment would ripple outward, changing not just his place in the school's hierarchy, but Mason's life trajectory as well. By Tuesday morning, Noah had become a reluctant celebrity. Students who had never spoken to him now nodded in hallways or asked questions about judo. Even teachers looked at him differently, a mixture of respect and wariness that made Noah uncomfortable. "Looks like you've got a fan club," Lily said at lunch, glancing around a cafeteria where eyes kept darting toward their table. "I don't want a fan club," Noah sighed. "I just want to finish the year quietly." "Well, that ship has sailed." "Have you seen the video? It's got thousands of views already." Noah groaned. Someone had posted the basketball court footage online, complete with slow-motion replays of his throws. His mother had seen it that morning and had asked more questions than she had in months. Mason was notably absent, having called in sick according to rumors. The school was buzzing with theories about his humiliation and likely revenge. In Ms. Rodriguez's class, she handed back essays on standing against injustice. Noah's paper had an A and a note. "Actions speak louder than words. See me after class." When the room emptied, she motioned Noah to her desk. That was quite a demonstration yesterday. Noah stared at his shoes. I didn't want it to happen, but it did, and now we're dealing with consequences. She leaned forward. Principal Davis is concerned about fighting on school grounds. Mason's parents are upset. Noah's head snapped up. But I didn't. I know. I showed Davis the video. You clearly defended yourself and showed remarkable restraint. She smiled slightly. I've explained the difference between aggression and what you demonstrated. Thank you, Noah said, relief evident in his voice. But there's something else I wanted to discuss. The bullying you endured, why didn't you tell someone? Noah considered the question. My grandfather always said we should solve our own problems when possible. Your grandfather sounds wise, but even wise people need community. She handed him a flyer. The middle school has an anti-bullying program. They need high school volunteers to teach conflict resolution. Someone with your perspective might be valuable. Noah took the flyer, uncertain but intrigued. After school, Noah decided to take a different route home, avoiding both the park and the basketball courts. As he passed the town's small river, he noticed a figure sitting alone on the bank, throwing rocks into the water. Mason. Noah hesitated, then slowly approached. Mason turned at the sound of footsteps, his expression hardening. Come to humiliate me some more? Mason asked, turning back to the water. No, Noah said simply, stopping a few feet away. Just walking home. Mason threw another rock, harder this time. Well, congratulations. You're the new school hero, and I'm the joke. Noah sat down on a boulder, leaving space between them. That wasn't my goal. Then what was? Why pretend to be weak if you're not? Noah watched the river's current. I wasn't pretending to be weak. I just didn't want fighting to be how people knew me. Mason looked skeptical. So what? You were just going to let me push you around forever. I didn't have it all figured out, Noah admitted. I'm still trying to honor what my grandfather taught me without him here to guide me. Something in Noah's tone made Mason look over. Your grandfather taught you judo? Noah nodded. He died 3 months ago. That's why we moved here. My mom got a nursing job at the hospital. An uncomfortable silence stretched between them. Finally, Mason spoke. My dad lost his job 6 months ago. He's been different since then. Angry all the time. The admission hung in the air, unexpected and raw. A cracking sound from above interrupted them. A large branch from the riverside tree, weakened by recent storms, broke free directly above where Mason sat. Noah reacted without thinking, lunging forward, grabbing Mason's shoulder, and pulling him aside just as the branch crashed down where he had been sitting. They both stared at the fallen branch, then at each other. You just saved me, Mason said, sounding genuinely confused. Noah shrugged. Reflex. But after everything I did, that's not how it works, Noah said. At least, that's not how my grandfather taught me it works. As they parted ways at the next intersection, Mason paused. I can't promise everyone at school will forget what happened. I know, but I'm done. With you at least. Mason's voice lacked its usual edge. Thanks for, Noah nodded, understanding that this wasn't friendship, but it was something. A beginning, perhaps. Or at least, an ending to one chapter and the opening of another. What neither boy could fully grasp in that moment was how this unexpected connection would continue to transform them both in the weeks ahead. 3 weeks later, the Lincoln High gym was converted into an impromptu dojo. Blue mats covered half the floor, and 20 middle schoolers sat cross-legged in rows, watching Noah demonstrate a basic wrist escape. Remember, it's not about strength, Noah explained, his voice confident in a way it never was in regular classes. It's about leverage and timing. The anti-bullying program had evolved when Noah suggested adding basic self-defense to the conflict resolution curriculum. Ms. Rodriguez had championed the idea to the school board, and now Noah led bi-weekly sessions with middle school students. From the back of the gym, Lily gave Noah a thumbs up as she adjusted the camera. She had convinced him to let her document the program for her media studies project. Now, pair up and practice, Noah instructed. Remember, gentle and controlled. As the kids practiced, Noah walked among them, making corrections and offering encouragement. He paused beside a small boy who was struggling with a technique. Here, Noah knelt beside him. It's about redirecting energy, not fighting against it. I'm not strong enough, the boy mumbled. Strength isn't always about muscle, Noah said. My grandfather was still throwing people half his age when he was 80 years old. He used to say that true judo is like water. It finds the path of least resistance. The gym doors opened, and Noah looked up, surprised to see Mason enter. They had maintained a cautious distance at school, neither friends nor enemies. Mason approached awkwardly. Rodriguez said I might find you here. Noah nodded to his students to continue practicing and stepped aside with Mason. I've been thinking about what you said at the river, Mason said. About how your grandfather taught you. Noah waited, unsure where this was heading. My dad finally found a job last week. Things are better at home, but Mason looked at the middle schoolers practicing. I've been thinking about what I was like before. How I treated people. I don't want to be that person. Noah understood immediately. You want to learn judo? Not just the fighting part, Mason clarified. The other stuff too. The philosophy, or whatever. Noah considered the request. His grandfather had never turned away a sincere student. The next adult beginner class at the community center starts next week. I've been helping the instructor there. It's not easy. I know, Mason said. That's kind of the point. Across the gym, Lily captured the moment on camera. The former bully and his target, now in conversation as equals. After the session ended and the middle schoolers left, Noah stayed behind to roll up the mats. Lily helped while reviewing footage on her camera. This is amazing content, she said. The kids idolize you. Noah shook his head. I'm just passing on what my grandfather taught me. And now Mason wants to learn too. That's some character development right there. Noah smiled slightly. My grandfather used to say that judo isn't about making yourself stronger. It's about making the world around you more balanced. Later that evening, Noah sat in his room, the wooden box open on his desk. He carefully removed his own black belt, which had remained untouched since the funeral. Beside it, he placed his grandfather's belt. I think I understand now, Ojizen, he said to the empty room. The belt is just the beginning. His phone buzzed with a text from his mother, coming home early tonight. Proud of what you're doing at the school. Dad would be, too. Noah ran his fingers over the embroidered characters on his grandfather's belt. Courage, wisdom, gentleness, respect. The core principles his grandfather had lived by. The next morning at school, Noah walked through the hallways with his head up, making eye contact with those he passed. No hoodie, no hunched shoulders. Students greeted him by name, not as the judo kid who took down Mason, but as Noah, the sophomore who taught defense classes and had quietly begun to reshape the school's culture. In the cafeteria, he passed Mason, who was sitting with his usual friends. They exchanged nods, an acknowledgement of the unexpected path that had brought them here. Noah joined Lily at their usual table, now often filled with other students who had once been invisible in the school's social landscape. Ready for tomorrow's session? Lily asked. Noah nodded, thinking of the lesson plan he prepared, his grandfather's favorite demonstration of how a smaller person could redirect the energy of someone twice their size. You know, Lily said, when you first came here, I never would have guessed all this would happen. Noah smiled. Me neither. What had begun as a strategy for invisibility had become something else entirely, a way to honor his grandfather's legacy by creating ripples that extended far beyond himself. Not through power or dominance, but through the quiet strength that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for. The black belt had never been about fighting. It had always been about finding harmony within yourself and then in the world around you. That's it for today's story. Do you think Noah's silence made him stronger or weaker? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for spending time with us. If you found this powerful, share it and remember to subscribe. More stories like this are just a click away.